stop everything you're doing right now. What I'm about to tell you will completely change how you see the world. There are 4 lies that society has been feeding you since childhood. These lies are designed to keep you weak, dependent, and powerless. And the worst part, you probably believe every single one of them. 500 years ago, Niccolò Machiavelli warned us about these exact same deceptions. He understood that power isn't given, it's taken. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how these 4 deadly lies have been stealing your power without you even knowing it. By the end of this video, you'll see through the fog that's been clouding your judgment for years. You'll understand why some people seem to effortlessly get what they want while others struggle their entire lives. And most importantly, you'll learn how to reclaim the power that rightfully belongs to you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have all the luck? They get the promotions. They attract the right opportunities. They command respect wherever they go. Meanwhile, you're following all the right advice, being a good person, waiting your turn, and yet nothing happens. It's not about luck. It's not about being born into the right family or having the right connections. It's about understanding the game that everyone else is playing while you're sitting on the sidelines. Machiavelli wrote The Prince in 1513 and it remains one of the most controversial books ever written. Why? Because it exposed the uncomfortable truths about power, influence, and human nature that society prefers to keep hidden. The same truths that are still relevant today, maybe even more so. You see, there's a reason why these 4 lies exist. They serve a very specific purpose, to keep you in your place, to make you compliant, passive, and easy to control. When you believe these lies, you give away your power to others who understand the real rules of the game. But here's the thing. Once you see these lies for what they really are, you can never unsee them. Your entire worldview will shift. You'll start noticing patterns you never saw before. You'll understand why certain strategies work while others fail miserably. This isn't about becoming manipulative or cruel. This is about understanding reality as it actually is, not as we wish it would be. This is about taking back control of your life and stopping the self-sabotage that's been holding you back. Are you ready to have your eyes opened? Are you prepared to challenge everything you've been taught? Then let's dive into the first deadly lie. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose to see the truth and reclaim my power. The first lie that's been poisoning your mind is this. Good things come to those who wait. This might be the most dangerous lie of all because it sounds so reasonable, so noble, so right. But let me tell you what this lie really means. Sit down, shut up, and let other people take what should be yours. Think about it for a second. While you're waiting for the right time, what's happening? Someone else is taking action. While you're being patient, someone else is making moves. While you're trusting the process, someone else is creating their own process and winning. I've seen this play out countless times. The person who deserves the promotion but waits to be noticed gets passed over by someone who actively campaigns for it. The entrepreneur with the great idea who waits for perfect conditions watches someone else launch a similar product and dominate the market. The person who waits for their soulmate to magically appear stays single while others actively put themselves out there and find love. This lie has convinced millions of people that taking action is somehow wrong or desperate. That good things should just fall into your lap if you're patient enough. But what really happens when you wait? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Machiavelli once said, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together. If we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." What he meant wasn't that you should be cruel or mean. He meant that waiting for people to love you, appreciate you, or hand you opportunities is a losing strategy. Respect comes from action, not from waiting quietly in the corner. Let me give you a real example. 2 people apply for the same job. Person A has better qualifications on paper and submits their application, then waits. Person B has decent qualifications, but immediately follows up. Networks with people in the company, sends additional materials, and demonstrates their value through action. Who do you think gets the job? Person B wins because they understand something. Person A doesn't. Opportunity doesn't wait for you, you create it. The waiting game is a trap. It's designed to keep you passive while others take action. It makes you feel virtuous about your inaction by calling it patience, or good things come to those who wait. Good things come to those who take them. Good things come to those who create value and demand recognition. Good things come to those who understand that time is your most valuable resource. And wasting it waiting is the greatest tragedy of all. The most successful people throughout history understood this principle. They didn't wait for permission to start their businesses. They didn't wait for the perfect moment to ask for what they wanted. They didn't wait for someone else to create opportunities for them. They took action despite uncertainty, despite fear, despite not having all the answers. While you're waiting for the stars to align, someone else is making things happen with 70% of the information and 100% of the commitment. While you're preparing to get ready to start thinking about maybe taking action someday, someone else is already failing, learning, adjusting, and succeeding. The world doesn't owe you anything just because you've been patient. The universe doesn't keep track of how long you've been waiting and reward you accordingly. Success goes to those who are willing to be uncomfortable, to risk rejection, to face uncertainty head-on. Every moment you spend waiting is a moment someone else is using to get ahead of you. Every day you tell yourself, tomorrow I'll start, is another day your competition is building their advantage. Every time you choose comfort over action, you're choosing mediocrity over excellence. So, what should you do instead? Start moving. Take imperfect action over perfect inaction. Stop waiting for permission and start asking for forgiveness. Stop hoping someone will notice your hard work and start making sure they can't ignore it. Create a bias toward action in everything you do. When you have an idea, test it immediately. When you see an opportunity, pursue it aggressively. When you want something, ask for it directly. The worst thing that can happen is someone says no. And that's infinitely better than never knowing what could have been. The world belongs to those who show up and take it. Everyone else gets the leftovers if there are any left. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I take action now and create my own opportunities. The second lie that's been weakening your position is this: everyone deserves respect. Now, before you get upset and think I'm promoting being rude or mean to people, let me explain what this lie really does to you. It makes you give away your most valuable social currency, your respect, to people who haven't earned it. And when you do that, you devalue yourself in the process. Respect isn't a participation trophy. It's not something you hand out just because someone exists. Respect is earned through actions, character, and results. When you give respect to people who haven't earned it, you're essentially telling the world that your standards don't matter. What happens when you believe this lie? You respect people who don't respect you. You value the opinions of people who haven't achieved anything worth valuing. You give equal weight to the advice of successful people and failures. You treat your time and energy as if they're worthless by giving them freely to anyone who asks. Think about the most successful people you know. Do they respect everyone equally? Absolutely not. They're selective about who gets their attention, their time, and their respect. They understand that respect is a two-way street and it has to be earned on both sides. Machiavelli once said, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel." Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few really know what you are. What he understood was that how you present yourself, including who you choose to respect, shapes how others see and treat you. When you respect people who don't deserve it, you appear weak and undiscerning. Imagine this. You're in a meeting with 10 people. 5 of them have built successful businesses, created value, and earned their position through merit. The other 5 are there because of politics, connections, or luck, and they haven't contributed anything meaningful. If you treat all 10 people with the same level of respect, what message are you sending? You're saying that achievement doesn't matter. You're saying that results don't matter. You're saying that you can't tell the difference between value and mediocrity. And when you send that message, people stop taking you seriously. Now, this doesn't mean you should be rude or dismissive. There's a difference between basic human decency and respect. You can be polite to everyone while reserving your respect for those who've earned it. You can be kind without being naive. You can be considerate without being a pushover. How this plays out in real life. The person who demands respect without earning it will test you. They'll see if you have standards or if you're just another person they can walk all over. If you immediately give them respect they haven't earned, they'll categorize you as weak and treat you accordingly. But if you're polite but reserved, if you make them work for your respect, something interesting happens. They either step up and earn it, or they reveal their true character by getting upset that you won't immediately bow down to them. The people worth respecting will understand. They know that respect is earned because that's how they operate, too. They'll actually respect you more for having standards. I've watched this dynamic play out in business countless times. The executive who immediately treats everyone the same regardless of their contribution or competence gets walked all over. Their team doesn't respect them because they don't respect themselves enough to have standards. Their peers don't take them seriously because they can't distinguish between value and mediocrity. But the executive who is polite to everyone but clearly reserves their genuine respect for those who deliver results, that person commands authority. People work harder to earn their approval. They set the standard for excellence in their organization. This principle extends to every area of your life. In relationships, when you respect people who consistently disrespect you, you teach them that your boundaries don't matter. In business, when you give equal respect to high performers and slackers, you demotivate your best people and enable your worst. Your respect should be like a luxury item, valuable, because it's rare and difficult to obtain. When you make it cheap and available to everyone, it loses all its power to influence behavior and outcomes. So, here's what you need to do. Stop giving away respect like it's candy on Halloween. Start evaluating people based on their actions, not their words. Be polite to everyone, but save your respect for those who've proven they deserve it through consistent, valuable behavior. Watch how they treat other people when they think no one important is watching. Look at their track record of keeping commitments. Observe whether they take responsibility for their mistakes or always find someone else to blame. Notice if they contribute value or just consume it. Your respect is valuable. Treat it that way. When you do, people will start treating you with the respect you deserve in return. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My respect is earned, not given, and I value myself enough to have standards. The third lie that's been sabotaging your success is just be yourself and people will like you. This sounds so positive and affirming, doesn't it? It makes you feel good about who you are right now. But here's the problem. It's keeping you exactly where you are right now. And if where you are right now isn't where you want to be, then this advice is your enemy. The truth is there are different versions of yourself. There's the lazy version, the disciplined version, the confident version, the insecure version, the focused version, and the distracted version. When someone says just be yourself, which version are they talking about? Most people default to their comfortable version. The version that requires no effort, no growth, and no discomfort. They mistake this for being authentic. But really, they're just being lazy. They're choosing the path of least resistance and calling it self-acceptance. You need to be the best version of yourself, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." He understood that you have control over how you present yourself to the world. You can choose which version of yourself to show up as. And the version you choose will determine the opportunities you attract and the people who want to work with you. Let me give you an example. You have two versions of yourself. Version A shows up late, makes excuses, complains about problems, and avoids difficult conversations. Version B shows up early, takes responsibility, focuses on solutions, and addresses issues head-on. Both are you. But which one is going to attract better opportunities? The just be yourself lie convinces you that version A is more authentic because it's easier, but version B is just as authentic. It's just the version that requires discipline and effort. The uncomfortable truth. The right version of yourself might make some people uncomfortable. The version that sets boundaries might upset people who are used to walking all over you. The version that speaks up might annoy people who prefer you to stay quiet. The version that demands excellence might intimidate people who are comfortable with mediocrity. And you know what? That's exactly who you need to be. When you become the best version of yourself, you naturally repel people who aren't aligned with your values and attract people who are. This isn't a bad thing. It's the whole point. You don't want to attract everyone. You want to attract the right people. Think about the people you most admire. Are they just being themselves in the sense of choosing comfort over growth? Or are they constantly pushing themselves to be better even when it's difficult? The most successful people are masters of self-discipline. They've identified the version of themselves that gets results, and they show up as that person every single day whether they feel like it or not. I've seen this play out in every industry. The salesperson who just is themselves, showing up however they feel, saying whatever comes to mind, dressing however is comfortable, struggles to build credibility with high-value clients. But the salesperson who shows up as the professional, prepared, solution-focused version of themselves consistently closes bigger deals. The entrepreneur who just is themselves, working when they feel inspired, avoiding difficult decisions, staying in their comfort zone, watches their business stagnate. But the entrepreneur who shows up as the decisive, strategic, growth-oriented version of themselves, builds companies that matter. This doesn't mean being fake or putting on an act. It means choosing to embody your highest potential instead of defaulting to your most comfortable patterns. Your comfortable version of yourself got you to where you are today. If you're satisfied with where that is, then keep being that version. But if you want something different, you need to become someone different. The version of yourself that procrastinates won't build the business you dream about. The version that avoids confrontation won't get the respect you deserve. The version that seeks everyone's approval won't make the hard decisions that create success. But there's another version of you. The one that takes action despite fear, sets boundaries despite pushback, and makes decisions based on results rather than popularity. That version might make some people uncomfortable, but it will also attract the opportunities and relationships that align with your goals. Stop using authenticity as an excuse for mediocrity. Stop hiding behind just being yourself when what you really mean is just being comfortable. Start choosing the version of yourself that deserves the life you want. Remember, every successful person you admire had to become someone they weren't in order to get what they wanted. They had to develop new habits, adopt new mindsets, and show up differently than they had before. That's not being fake. That's called growth. Your current self got you to where you are now. If you want to go somewhere different, you need to become someone different, not a fake version. A better version. That version of you might make some people uncomfortable. Good. That means it's working. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose to be the best version of myself, even when it's uncomfortable. The fourth and final lie that's been stealing your power is everything happens for a reason. This might sound comforting, but it's actually the ultimate victim mentality disguised as wisdom. This lie convinces you that you're not in control of your life, that some external force is pulling the strings, and all you can do is accept whatever happens to you. But the truth is, things don't happen for a reason. Things happen because of the decisions you make and the actions you take. When you believe that everything happens for a reason, you give up your power to influence your own outcomes. This lie is particularly dangerous because it feels spiritual and profound. It makes you feel better about bad situations by telling you they're part of some grand plan. But while you're sitting there waiting to discover the reason behind your problems, someone else is taking responsibility and creating solutions. Let me break this down for you. When something bad happens, you have two choices. You can look for the mystical reason why it happened, or you can look for the practical actions you can take to improve the situation. One keeps you passive and powerless. The other puts you back in control. Machiavelli once said, "I'm not interested in preserving the status quo. I want to overthrow it." He understood that accepting things as they are, believing they're happening for a reason, is the enemy of progress. Real power comes from taking responsibility and changing what you don't like. How this lie shows up in real life. Someone loses their job and says, "Everything happens for a reason. Maybe this is a sign that I should try something different." Meanwhile, they spend months waiting for clarity instead of immediately updating their resume and networking for new opportunities. Another person gets rejected and says it wasn't meant to be. Everything happens for a reason. Instead of analyzing what went wrong and improving their approach, they just accept the rejection as destiny. Someone's business fails and they say everything happens for a reason. Maybe I wasn't cut out for this. Instead of studying what went wrong, learning from mistakes, and trying again with better knowledge, they give up entirely. This lie turns you into a passive observer of your own life. You start believing that your success or failure is determined by forces outside your control. You stop taking responsibility for your results because, hey, everything happens for a reason, right? But successful people think differently. When something goes wrong, they don't look for cosmic reasons. They look for causation. They ask, what actions led to this result? What can I do differently next time? How can I prevent this from happening again? What can I learn from this situation? They understand that most bad luck is actually the result of poor preparation, bad decisions, or lack of action. And most good luck is the result of good preparation, smart decisions, and consistent action. Yes, some things are truly random. Natural disasters, accidents, other people's decisions, these things are outside your direct control. But even then you have control over how you respond. You can choose to be a victim of circumstances, or you can choose to be someone who overcomes circumstances. I've watched this mentality destroy more potential than any other limiting belief. People use it to justify giving up, staying stuck, and avoiding the hard work of change. They convince themselves that their current situation is meant to be rather than taking the actions necessary to improve it. The everything happens for a reason mentality is particularly insidious in relationships. Someone stays in a toxic relationship because everything happens for a reason. Maybe I'm supposed to learn something. Instead of setting boundaries or leaving, they endure mistreatment while waiting for the mystical lesson to reveal itself. In business, people use this lie to justify failure. The business didn't work out because everything happens for a reason. Maybe I wasn't supposed to be an entrepreneur. Instead of analyzing their mistakes, adjusting their strategy, and trying again, they give up and call it destiny. The truth is most successful people have failed multiple times. The difference is they don't interpret failure as cosmic intervention. They see it as feedback. Learn from it and use that knowledge to succeed the next time. Stop looking for mystical reasons why your life isn't working. Start looking for practical actions you can take to make it work better. Stop waiting for fate to hand you what you want. Start creating the conditions that make success inevitable. Your life isn't a movie where everything works out according to some predetermined script. Your life is what you make it through the choices you make and the actions you take every single day. Take control of your narrative. Stop being a character in someone else's story and start being the author of your own. Stop waiting for external validation or cosmic permission to take charge of your life. The most empowering realization you can have is that you are responsible for your outcomes. Not fate, not the universe, not some grand plan. You, your decisions, your actions, your standards, your effort. When you fully accept this responsibility, you reclaim your power to change anything you don't like about your current situation. Now that we've exposed all 4 lies, each of these lies serves the same purpose: to keep you passive, dependent, and powerless. Good things come to those who wait. Keeps you passive instead of taking action. Everyone deserves respect. Makes you dependent on others' approval instead of setting your own standards. Just be yourself and people will like you. Keeps you comfortable instead of pushing you to grow. Everything happens for a reason. Makes you powerless instead of taking responsibility. These aren't random pieces of bad advice. They're part of a system that benefits from your passivity. When you wait instead of acting, someone else takes what could have been yours. When you give respect to everyone, those who've earned it hold all the power. When you stay comfortable, you don't threaten the status quo. When you believe in fate, you don't fight for change. Machiavelli once said, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." But I want to expand on this. It's not about being feared in a negative sense. It's about being respected for your standards, your actions, and your results. It's about people knowing that you're someone who gets things done, who doesn't accept mediocrity, and who won't be pushed around. The most successful people throughout history have understood these truths. They've rejected these comfortable lies and embraced uncomfortable realities. They've chosen action over waiting, standards over universal acceptance, growth over comfort, and responsibility over fate. You now have the knowledge. You understand the lies that have been holding you back and the truths that can set you free. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going to go back to your old patterns, or are you going to start implementing what you've learned today? The choice is yours, but choose quickly because while you're deciding, someone else is already taking action. Now, I want you to drop this final affirmation in the comments. I reject these lies, embrace these truths, and commit to living from a position of power. Remember, good things don't come to those who wait. They come to those who take them.